Sirens rang out across Israel at 6:29 this morning to mark the moment when Hamas-led militants launched rockets into Israel, starting the October 7th attack. 1,200 people were killed. About 250 others were taken to Gaza as hostages. This is video here of Israelis carrying flags and images of hostages gathered outside Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's home in Jerusalem. And over the past 365 days, the resulting war has killed thousands of innocent people caught in the crossfire, while planned protests and vigils in the U.S. and abroad demand the return of hostages and a ceasefire. KCRA 3's Amy Liu reports that the fighting has continued overnight.
The war only appears to be spiraling 1 year later as mourners in Israel mark the first anniversary. Palestinian and Israeli militants traded rocket fire overnight. 1 year ago, Hamas invaded Israel, killing more than 1,000 civilians and taking hundreds hostage. Israel's air and ground operations taking tens of thousands of lives in Gaza in return.
We cannot give up on a two-state solution. Israel and Palestinians equally deserve to live in safety, dignity, and peace.
The U.S. firm in Israel's defense. Aside from a brief moment last November, a ceasefire has been hard to find.
There is no higher priority for me than the safety of Americans held hostage.
The deaths and humanitarian crisis at times isolating Israel.
A remarkable tactical success for Hamas. They have now gotten a huge portion of the United States to turn anti-Israel.
Israel remaining determined to root out Hamas.
The war in Gaza could end tomorrow if Hamas surrenders, disarms, and returns all the hostages.
While countering other Iran-backed groups, including Hezbollah in Lebanon, Houthi rebels in Yemen, and direct airstrikes from Iran. A year on, the U.S. struggling to find a path to peace.
Perhaps we wouldn't have had the widening war, but we have to be fair to the administration. Neither Hamas nor the Israeli government want a ceasefire.
President Biden says he and U.S. officials have been in touch with Israeli counterparts trying to reach a ceasefire deal. But he recently said he wasn't sure if Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu was holding off in order to influence the U.S. general election. In Washington, I'm Amy Liu, KCRA 3 News.
And President Biden will mark 1 year of the war today by participating in a yahrzeit candle lighting alongside a rabbi. Vice President Harris will plant a memorial tree at the vice president's residence in honor of the victims, while former President Trump will deliver remarks at an October 7th remembrance event in Miami. Meanwhile, Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu and the mayor of Jerusalem also paid tribute to the victims. They lit candles at the Iron Swords monument put up in Jerusalem in honor of the victims of October 7th. Netanyahu and Leon said in a statement, quote, "We went through a terrible massacre a year ago, and we stood up as a people, as lions. The people shall rise up as a great lion and lift up themselves as a young lion." Back in Northern California, later on today, the local Jewish community will gather for a memorial in remembrance of those who died in the October 7th attack. In Sacramento, the Jewish Federation of Sacramento will host a candlelight vigil on the west steps of the state capitol beginning at 6 tonight. In Davis, a memorial event at Central Park will begin at 6 before moving to Elio House at 7:30.